Selamat pagi teman-teman. Sebelum saya panggil ketiga bintang tamunya, mari kita lihat video singkat dari L'Oreal. Jadi di sesi pagi hari ini saya akan menggunakan bahasa Inggris. And this has to be the most exciting session of today as we will have 3 great and resourceful speakers. Innovation is the lifeblood of business. It is the only sustainable competitive advantage as a company can have. Today's topic is very timely and relevant for all leaders attending this summit. It is called innovation-driven business, stronger beyond pandemic. The first speakers, he graduated from the University of Southern California, grew and transformed Indica Energy into an energy giant, employing more than 10,000 people. Aside from energy, his business interests are media, gold mining, renewable energy, and technology. Among many accolades, he was awarded a Young Global Leader by the World Economic Forum. Please welcome to the stage President Director of Indica Energy and Chairman of Kadin, Arsyad Rashid. Our second speaker, he started his career at Unilever Pakistan in 2008, quickly rising up the ranks before moving to L'Oreal headquarters in France. Just before COVID, he was promoted to be the CEO of L'Oreal Pakistan. And after 3 years at the helm, he recently became the CEO of L'Oreal Indonesia. Please give a warm welcome to the CEO of L'Oreal Indonesia, Junaid Murtaza. A third speaker, she graduated from Santa Clara University and started her career at World Bank and United Nations before founding the largest platform for pre-loved designer fashion in Indonesia. Let's join to the stage CEO and co-founder of Tinkerlust, Samira Shihab. Okay, before I start the session, I have a quick games. I have 2 prizes for 2 people who can mention at least 3 brands of L'Oreal that you have used in the previous month. Boleh cepet-cepetan ke mikrofon ya, mohon maaf nggak bisa milih. Yang bisa nebak, boleh langsung ke mikrofon, langsung tebak jawabannya. 2 orang, cepet-cepetan silakan ke mikrofon. Boleh langsung? Iya. Mbak yang di belakang, boleh langsung ke depan? Nah, ya, Mas yang pertama, satu lagi kalau ada boleh di sini. Oke, silakan Mas, ada 3 produk apa aja?
Hi, Garnier, Kiehl's, and Shu Uemura.
Are those 3 of your brands? Awesome. Panitia tolong dikasih hadiah nanti. Mbak yang di kiri silahkan, boleh? Nggak boleh yang udah disebutin ya?
Loh.
Ayo lah.
Lancome,
Lancome.
L'Oreal, Garnier.
Udah disebutin 2 tadi. Lancome.
YSL,
YSL, satu lagi.
L'Oreal, Garnier, La Roche-Posay.
Are those your brands? Awesome. Oke, nanti dikasih hadiah juga ya. Oke. First question for Pak Arsyad. The Arsyad Rashid that we know now is a very successful businessman and an organizational leader. Can you tell us your untold story, the ups and downs, before reaching the position that you are in right now?
Wow, okay. No, thank you. First of all, thank you very much for actually inviting me here today. I have a very long name first. You know, I have a name, Muhammad Arsyad Rashid Prabu. It's a very long name, so but I go by the name of Arsyad Rashid. So my dad and my mom, gado-gado boleh ya, Indonesian English, right? Okay. So uh, when I was born, so my dad from South Sumatra and my mom is from Sunda. Yeah? And then, and my dad he was from the army. So since I was very small, when I was 9 years old, guys, imagine this, my mom and my dad told me that I have to go away from Indonesia. So I was put in Singapore since I was 9 years old. And then after that, when we come to secondary school, high school, I went to the US. So basically, I had the opportunity to actually went to school there. But because my dad come from the military, so he said the obvious choice of the school there was a military kind of a school. So I was there in California. And then to make the story short, I graduated from in California and came back to Indonesia. By the time I was 21 or 22 years old. When I came back, I started to work for a company, a Japanese company. Then from there, my enthusiasm of being a business, I really want to be entrepreneurs. So I tried. So my first money, actually, I put down is not for myself, but I was like joining a guy who wants to do a business and I give the money to them. And then what happened after that? Boom, it's gone.
It's gone.
Money's gone, right? That was my first so-called, I don't know, is it investment or business?
Investing.
Right? Then after that, I said, no, I have to learn. I have to run it myself. So at the end, I started. I started with a business at that point of time, because my background is electrical engineering, which is computer engineering. So of course, obviously, computer is my thing. So at that point of time, I was trying to sell what I call smart card today. There's a card with a chip. Last time was never before there was a chip with a card with a chip. It was the first time, and this is where I started to do that. And to make the story short, after that, started that business. It went to the crisis. We tried to sell the cards, sell the POS and everything. What happened? We signed a contract. We signed a contract with one of the largest banks in Indonesia. But after we signed this 10,000 contract, we are so blessed to have this, suddenly what happened? In 1997, many of the bank closes in Indonesia. By 1998, there's no more bank, that particular bank. So what we have signed is just a contract. They were so proud of, until today, I keep that contract, but nothing happens. Because why? Indonesia crisis. So there was the ups and downs, and of course, after that, make story short again, went to energy, in which, until where I am today, actually. And that's also the same thing. I went to China. We wanted to create what we call a power plants, because there's no financing in Indonesia. But what happened is, at that point of time, they're telling us they want coal. So we went to actually produce coal and to get coal. But then after that, it went sour, my first deal. Then after that, we looked for another company. And then this company that we actually have, at the end, we got it. But it was not with the Chinese, with the Koreans. And since then, we've been in the path of energy. So from what we call, originally it was ICT, and it went to actually energy. That's why the name Indica is actually Industri Multimedia and Electronica, Informatica. So that's how it is.
Industri Multimedia and Electronica.
Industri Multimedia dan Informatika. That's why we call it Indica. So that was the original name of Indica. Sebelum ini, nothing to do with energy, nothing to do with that. It was actually for ICT. And then, of course, now we just use the name because we wanted to have a name like Sony, like other name, L'Oreal, for example.
Yep.
We thought maybe it's Indica. So that's why we have this name of Indica.
Wow, banyak sekali ya naik turunnya. Kita beri tepuk tangan buat Pak Arsyad. Jeanette, you became a CEO of a large multinational company at such a young age, in your early 30s. How is that even possible? What is the story behind it?
Well, as Steve Jobs says, the dots usually connect backwards, right? So now that I think about it, first and foremost, I think it has a lot to do with how I was brought up. I come from a family where, really putting in the effort means a lot. Get the right education, get the right exposure, make sure that you've really, experienced life and you're trying to give back at every stage that you do. So that's the mindset with which I grew. So I come from a family who's everybody's working. not a business family. But then during this journey, I think I became obsessed with the idea of, while there's so many people out there, they're trying to make a name for themselves, what will be my differentiating factor? What can I bring to the table in all of this, professional chaos? And during that time, I discovered, of course, my first company and eventually L'Oreal. So first and foremost, I think a lot, and I'm really grateful to be the youngest CEO for the L'Oreal Group globally, but a lot of that has to do, with the sort of company L'Oreal is. It is, we say at L'Oreal, the freedom to go beyond. And it's not just a statement that you'll find in a boardroom for a company, because I'm sure a lot of companies will have entrepreneurship and risk-taking and all of those things, but seldom companies do actually live by it. And L'Oreal is one company that truly lives by it. But from a personal perspective, I think it was more about, I always say you're a product of your ambitions. So if your ambition is small, you'll probably achieve something small. If you really try to aim for the stars, you'll probably maybe land at the stars, or at least for sure be at the moon. So I've always dared to have an audacity to have a big ambition, but also the humility to know that it might not be possible, and to get up again and keep doing it. So I think it's important. The other thing is, of course, to always be open to experiences and be open to challenges. I think throughout my career at L'Oreal and even before that, if there's one thing I've consistently done is raise my hand to be the first one to face a problem or a crisis, not run away from it, but to actually embrace it. And yes, the risks are very high, but so are the rewards for it. So these are some of the things, I think maybe I can, connect the dots when I look back, have been contributing. But the most important thing, I think, at the end of the day is having the humility to know and having the empathy. Because as you go up, and we have a saying in Pakistan, that's originally where I'm from, as a tree bears fruit, it actually starts bending. And it's extremely important for you to have humility as you and empathy with people that you work with as you progress the ranks. I have to say this, I'm extremely happy to be here. I think Indonesia has completely blown my mind. I knew what to expect, at least from a L'Oreal perspective, but I can tell you, I am so amazed. I'm almost like a teenage girl or a guy who's jumping up and down every day to say, oh my God, look at the opportunity and look at the potential of this country. And that is something I truly believe in, is the power of human potential. And I promise you, we were discussing earlier together, but this is one of my big obsessions of, human potential and the potential of Indonesia. And that is what drives me.
Wow. FYI, today is officially the first month of Junaid moving to Indonesia. So you start with ambition, you are proactive, always raising the hand and having the humility. You are the youngest CEO at L'Oreal globally. Are you still holding the title?
I'm not sure, but when I became, I was 33, so I'm 36.
Let's leave it at there then. Yeah. Samira, Tinkerlust is the largest platform for pre-love designer fashion, where we can find practically anything. We can find bags, we can find shoes, even beauty. It is only 7 years young. Can you tell us why and how you started this?
I guess my story starts when I was 4 years old and I grew up in the States. So many people may not know this, but I spent most of my life in Pennsylvania and California. So 25 years abroad, grew up there, never had the intention of coming back home to Indonesia. But then I spent one summer back here in Indonesia in 2013. And the economy, the digital economy specifically, was an absolute blue ocean. There were so many opportunities. And even though I had bought a house and had already invested in my future in California, I decided in literally a blink of an eye to come home. And I had no network, no friends, basically nothing that I've built, but I realized that the future was here in Indonesia. And I decided to start a company. It was a hospitality company for F&B businesses, something like OpenTable. So basically, I just adopted a business model and put it in Indonesia. The biggest lesson, you cannot do that. You really have to understand your market. So 12 months after that, that was definitely my first failure. And after a failure like that, after closing your first company, you really learn a lot about yourself. You really learn about life's rejection and how to actually put in perspective the life and challenges that you go through. And at that time, when I failed my first company, I really didn't know how to present it to the world. How do I share that the vision and dream that I had was absolutely crushed? But now I wear it as a badge of honor, as anyone should. Any life's rejection, any failure, any barrier should be a learning point. And that's what I did. I used that learning to then launch Tinkerlust. And in 7 years, we're venture-backed. We are a team of 120. We are the largest leading e-commerce in luxury and branded fashion. And I'm here now. But my story, I guess, doesn't stop then. I also founded Stellar Women because I'm super passionate about women entrepreneurs and the journey that female leaders experience, right? So I feel that when I was a female leader, I realized that the road is long, the road is a roller coaster of emotions, of imposter syndrome, and I wanted to create a platform in which we could connect other female leaders, female entrepreneurs for the next generation of leadership in this country, because females are a catalyst of change for Indonesia.
Wow, so it's about pushing through. Let's give a big round of applause for Samira. And failing is fine, and wear that as a badge of honor.
Definitely.
Jeanette, according to Indonesia Gen Z report that we published at the summit, out of the 270 million population, 75 million is actually Gen Z. And out of the 75 million, 50% are actually in the productive age, meaning they are already started working. 50% are still in school, meaning some of them have started to have income and spending power. From a L'Oreal standpoint, how do you think Gen Z is shaping the future of the beauty industry?
Great. Before I answer that, I'll tell you a story from last night. I was putting my 2-year-old son down to sleep, and he said, "Baba, tell me a story." So I told him a story. Then he asked for another one. I told him another story. By the third time, I was tired, so I said, "Listen, I don't know any more story." And he turned to the side of the bed, and he said, "Okay, Google, tell me a story." And suddenly I felt that I am not relevant anymore, because this 2-year-old can just ask something from Google and get the job done. And reality is there's a lot that's changing. You already mentioned that millennials and Gen Zs are a big force in bringing the digital world forward for Indonesia. And it's true, so about 26-28% for both of them. It's also important to realize the rate of change, the things that are actually happening. William, do you know how long did it take for the radio to reach 50 million people?
Radio?
Radio.
I would say 20 years?
75 years.
75 years.
It took the television 13 years. And we can only guess how long it takes today to reach 50 million people. It's a matter of hours. The amount of media that Gen Zs are scrolling throughout the day, it's 300 feet of stream. It's the size of Statue of Liberty. But that's also the fact that they also have very limited attention span. That's 2.9 seconds. A goldfish has a memory of 9. So from that perspective, Gen Zs are bombarded with a lot of information. They have a lot of choice. They are able to inform on their opinions. They are the ones which are observing trends, but they're also the ones that are creating trends. And in that plethora of information, they're also searching, about 38% of them are searching for beauty online. And they're also searching for for confidence, for, of course, how they look, but also on how to build confidence. So I think Gen Zs, from the way they're consuming media, is really going to change, and digital per se, is going to change the outlook of how the future of beauty is really going to evolve. Absolutely.
So the root is actually the media consumption behavior, plus they're absorbing, plus creating content.
Yes, so observing, creating content, but also they're demanding. I mean, at the end of the day, today, the Gen Zs are far more demanding in terms of what is the right product for them, what is the right skin care regime for them. They are much more purpose-driven than ever before. They're much more cause-driven than ever before. And I think at L'Oreal, for us, what's important, and this is really what we now today call beauty tech. So not only do we want to be, we are the world's number one beauty company, but we also want to be the world's number one beauty tech company.
Beauty tech company.
What that practically means is on one side, it is all about inclusivity. You know, gone are the days where you have one global product and you can just roll it out everywhere. It means mass personalization. You have to suit the needs and cater to the needs of different skin types and skin tones and hair types, so on and so forth. It's just what needs to be done. It's about transparency. It's about sustainability. I mean, the world we're living in with climate change. So we have to make sure that the products, the services that we do are, you know, thinking about the planet, about the people, and the product themselves. And I think last but not the least, the way we're trying to cope up with this, of course, is to be a very nimble and agile and a creative company because, of course, we have Gen Zs out there, but we also have Gen Zs within L'Oreal. So it's how do we come up with systems, data processes, which allows us to innovate at the rate we have to.
Yes, I think the key word there is inclusivity.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Samira, I will ask you the same question, but before that, I want to ask Pak Arsyad. I know you have been traveling a lot, both domestically and internationally, and met with business people of all sizes. What does your schedule look like as the chairman of Kadin? And what are the most memorable moments meeting those business people?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I never thought I was going to become a chair of Kadin, you know, so it was quite a surprise for me. But so right now, we have to be very proud. One thing is about Indonesia. Indonesia is the presidency of G20. Yeah, we're the first emerging country to be the president of the G20. And of course, this G is the government, and from our side is the business, because Kadin, as Chamber of Commerce, is doing the Business 20, which will be happening in this coming November 13, 14 for the B, and then G 15 and 16. And I think, you know, you should be participating in this and very proud of this. And because of this, we have to do a lot of actually roadshow to introduce about Indonesia, talking about B20. And this is the part that I'm very proud of, because when we go around the world, we went to the US, we went to Canada, we went to Europe, we went to Asia, and we went to Australia. This is something that we have to be very proud of. Number one is, first of all, we have to realize one thing. We were actually talking before coming here, and it was discussing about, do people know about Indonesia? That was a question. We sometimes take it for granted that the whole world knows about Indonesia, and the whole world knows what's going on in Indonesia. Unfortunately, no. We took it for granted. And this is the part when we actually went there for the roadshow. We say, hey, this is a new Indonesia. Indonesia with the demography, for example, Gen Z, what we have done digitally, what we are doing in Indonesia, we are changing. We are the place for electrification now. We are doing that. So this is something that we have to tell the whole world. And this is where we went when we went to these roadshows. And one thing that we have to be very proud of, everybody wants to come here. Everybody wants to be in Indonesia. And this is amazing. And this is why you can see if you look at the trades number, our trades are up so high. For example, because of the China and US trade wars, you know, what happening is, you know, the demand of furnitures out of the US is breaking records.
Oh.
So our furniture industry in Indonesia are selling so much now to the US, an example. And so this is what I think is that we should be very proud, and how all of us here, everybody, should be talking about Indonesia, so that people will come to Indonesia and invest and trade with Indonesia, and to show the world that we have these young generations, we have this new Indonesia that we have to be proud of. And that's the one thing that I can say when going around the world, is being proud. When talking about Indonesia, everybody is talking about Indonesia. They want to come here. They want to invest here. They want to do trades here. So this is the greatest opportunity, and the world actually is with Gen Z. Because why? That is what the future of Indonesia. Because, you know, we have a goal in Indonesia, 100 years old, 100 years of independence in 2045. We have to be very proud. We want to be number 4 economic of the world. So what we have to do, we have to work on it, and we have to work together. We have to work as united to actually achieve that goal. And the future is with Gen Z. And that's the future of Indonesia.
Mari kita beri tepuk tangan. Jadi itu seperti itu ya teman-teman, ada sekitar hampir 1.000 orang di ruangan ini, harus dimulai dari diri kita sendiri. Kita yang harus mempromosikan Indonesia, hal yang kita lakukan, karya yang kita buat, karena semua dimulai dari diri kita sendiri. Kita ke Samira. What do you think about the role of Gen Z in shaping the future of fashion and beauty?
So in Gen Z, it doesn't even have to be fashion and beauty. It can just be in terms of all across industries. They're going to be playing a pivotal role in both the government policies and also the economic growth of Indonesia. They make up close to 30% of our nation, basically. So just a few facts about them that I find particularly interesting. They are digital native, so they've not known a world without technology capabilities that we have right now. Social media, they are more comfortable living, working, socializing, and also working online and offline. So that hybrid model of living is definitely pushed by them. And also, because they are more digital savvy, the world almost becomes smaller for us and for them. So global trends are being transferred by their footprint and into Indonesia. So we're seeing a huge growth of social commerce, for example, because of their interest on certain channels. So for us as brands to grab their market share, grab their attention, we need to understand what their values are, because they are very vision-forward people. They care about sustainability, diversity. They have very high values. They're very ambitious. I would say they're the woke generation, right?
Woke generation.
The woke generation. So it's a very exciting time to be in a world with Gen Z, and I only hope for the best for them as well.
Wow. So I think the keyword there is digital native, and I think the keyword there is the woke generation. If you don't know what that means, you're not a Gen Z. Going on today's topic about innovation, before I go to Pa Junet, I want to go to Pa Arshad first. Your business truly reflects the session title today, Innovation Driven and Stronger Beyond Pandemic. Last year, your business made 43 trillion in revenue, with a T, not a B. How do you navigate innovation and growth in such a large ship?
This is from my experiences, right? What I see is this. I'm very thankful to God. For example, when we started off, it was only about 30 people, right? It was I became the CEO at 2005. It was about 30, 40 people. By the year 2010, we have more than 1,000 people. So that's why we got this. I've got the young global leaders from the World Economic Forums, and also the company Indonesia. I'm very proud. The first company to get the map in the World Economic Forum as the highest growth company out of Indonesia.
Wow.
So that was the first moment of times, right? But all of this, as we grow our company, for me the key is people. When we talk about people, the key is actually values. Values is the one that actually connect us together and drive the company. And that's why, for example, I give them these things. I say, what is the leadership that you have to have? So my key, I always keep saying this. I kept saying ASA. ASA. ASA means leadership, which is ASA in Bahasa is called hope. Hope. So a leader must give hopes to the people and at the same time give hopes to themselves. Then this ASA is to create what? Number one, authenticity. This means you have to be authentic leaders.
Yes.
As spiritual, which is then having values of that. And third is actually agility, which is adaptability, innovative, and actually at the same time resilience. So all of these are things that I do believe in which that we share to the people in the company to say that at the end of the day, we have all various sectors, industry and all whatever things, but one thing that connect us and move us differently, and we have to create this. It's not the value of the company first, value of the people, the value that we believe, and then we will be able to create value for the company. And that's what I think.
What an amazing answer. Please give a round of applause for Pa Arshad. Junet, talking about innovation, what are the innovations that L'Oreal has done to answer the needs of your consumer?
So, as I mentioned, in terms of for us in beauty tech, there are three frameworks. Well, of course, inclusivity, the other is transparency and sustainability, and then, of course, being a nimble and a creative organization. The one that's closest to my heart, of course, is with inclusivity. So back in 2018, although the vision statement for our group and over 113 years, we were always very close to technology and science. I mean, we were born out of science back in the day. But how this has manifested over the years is we have, let's say, an artificial intelligence and augmented reality company by the name of Modi Face, which we developed in 2018. With that, we've really taken great strides in terms of understanding the different skin types, the different hair types of consumers. So much so that over the course of these years, we call it the virtual try-on. And it's actually done over 1 billion virtual try-ons that have happened all over the world.
1 billion.
1 billion with a B. And with that, of course, there are several applications that we have even between our brands. So some of the brands that we just mentioned over here. So Garnier will have a virtual try-on that consumers can actually see the color of their hair and they can change it without actually applying the color, or to see whether a lipstick suits them, and so on and so forth, across our multiple brands from La Roche-Posay in active cosmetics, or Garnier or L'Oréal Paris. Linking with that, of course, is some of my personal favorites, which is the YSL Rouge sur Mesure, which is about actually taking it a step forward, linking AI and augmented reality on one side, but also being able to dispense particular shades of lipstick at the comfort of your home. So you can actually, so there are 4 palettes or 4 shade groups, but you can actually develop about 4,000 different shades of lipstick
Wow.
at the comfort of your home with that. And that, I mean, so if you're wearing a certain blue or a certain red or something, you can actually scan it with the app, and it will produce the exact same shade for you to match. And it goes as far as styling and so on and so forth. The same technology, which is Perso at L'Oréal, is also applied to another product which we have, which is Le Temps Particulier, which is about coming up with foundation. It's over 70,000 different shades of foundation.
Wow.
And us as humans, we have a very, in terms of our skin, there are tones that we see and there are undertones. So this is able to adapt to the exact specificity of your skin need and dispense actual foundation in just 20 minutes. On the sustainability side, I think one innovation which is actually featured as Time's Best Innovation in 2021 is the shower head that we developed with a Swiss company by the name of Josa. And this has the capability of saving 60% of water when actually, showering your hair.
60% of water saving.
60% of water saving. And of course, with the world we're living in, it's absolutely important to start thinking of products and services which will make such impact. So from that perspective, and of course, internally at L'Oréal, we have several initiatives and several things in terms of data that we're doing. On the other side, it's all about games, but I think I'm going to elaborate a bit more when we come to that.
Oh, that is amazing. Can I get one of the YSL technology? Because I think my wife will love me more.
Well,
if I bring-
you can definitely try it out, and I invite all of you because we have a lot of these. So in total, we have about 17 such innovations that are rolled out in Indonesia.
Yep.
And another moment of pride for Indonesia is that Indonesia has the highest adoption rate in the world for L'Oréal of
Wow.
technology for us. So all the tools that we have. And we've already near 1 million try-ons in Indonesia.
And all of that new technology can be found in your
Absolutely,
booth outside?
at our booth outside.
Jadi gitu ya teman-teman, kalau mau cobain, boothnya ada di luar sana, yang tadi YSL, Water Saver, dan lain-lain semua ada di sana. Mari kita beri tepuk tangan buat Junet. Samira, what will be the most exciting innovation that Tinkerlust will bring to your consumer?
Okay, so I want to talk to it through a startup point of view. So we are still, I would say, recovering from the pandemic, right? And prior to the pandemic, we were on absolute growth mode, like any tech startup venture back should be. Grow, 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 expand your market share at all costs. And then the pandemic happened and we were on survival mode. And still to today, we are trying to reach and continue to aggressively grow. However, one of the things that we've been innovating is actually how to become more profitable in more efficiencies and really concentrating on the core business of Tinkerlust so that we can serve our market in a more efficient, in a more scalable capacity, so that we become a generational company, just like L'Oreal. But another aspect is connecting to our Gen Z, and we'll be launching our mobile app coming up. After 7 years, we decided to invest in this social commerce angle of consumerism.
Wow. Let's give a round of applause for Samira's answer. Parshad, what do you think of their innovation that they just told us? A new mobile app, increased efficiency, beauty tech, saving water, virtual try-on. What do you think?
You know, this is the future of Indonesia. The only thing, if we want, you know, we have that ambitious goal, right, to be number 4 economic of the world by 2045, when we're 100 years old. And the key foundation is actually innovation. Innovation means also digitalization. We talk about industrial revolution, right, of 4.0, where the adoption of technology. And I think all of these are the key factors to our success in the futures. Because suddenly, for example, you know, I have one guy who's doing batik in Pekalongan, right? Doing this batik. And then what happened is, he's usually be able only to sell his batik in front of the houses or, you know, near in that Pekalongan city. But suddenly with digitalization, right? What happened is, he can now sell his same batik, not only in Pekalongan, but in Java, in the whole of Indonesia, even export to Malaysia, because it's actually offered to all. And this is opening up a market you never thought you can. And so this is great, right? So this is, I think, why we need to push. But unfortunately, you know, today, when we talk about SME, small, medium enterprises in Indonesia, which is very important for Indonesia growth, because it is the foundation of our economy. And only 20% of our SME are actually savvy in digital. So there's a lot of work that we need to do to make sure that we push more of our entrepreneurs, right, to be able to have digital savvy and to use technology for their businesses. And with that, productivity is going to be higher. You're going to have this market that's open up to the world, and you can have, you know, all these efficiencies, less cost for them. And this is great for the development of entrepreneurship in Indonesia. So I think it's all of us, the work of all of us, to actually bring in all of our friends to do that. And second one is actually, besides digitalization, we have to make sure also our friends comes from the informal to formal. This means what? To be able to create companies. Right now it's easier with Undang-Undang Cipta Kerja. You can create a company, whereby then, if you bring it to the formal, then the businesses can get access to funding. And so I think digitalization is the future of Indonesia, and that's what make Indonesia grow and make our dream come true by 2045 as number 4 economic part of the world.
Wow, that's a very great answer. I want to double click a bit on that, Parshad. We might enter a recession next year. What? We might enter a recession next year. What is Kadin's effort to keep the economy at least stable, or better yet, growing?
Okay, when you talk about risk, we are facing, we have high inflation, right? But we are, if you look at Indonesia compared to others, for example, Turkey, you know the inflation rate in Turkey is more than 60%.
60.
60. We talk about inflation rate in, say, in the US right now, is around 8%. Talk about inflation rate in Germany, right? It's more than 10%. So if you look at throughout every country in the world, we are not bad, right? And what is important is now how to make sure we strengthen our domestic economy, right? And this is where the part is actually to create more entrepreneurs, to bring the entrepreneurs to digitalization. And this is what Kadin is trying to do. A few things. Number one, we are doing what we call Wiki Wira Usaha.
Wiki Wira Usaha.
Yes. Wiki Wira Usaha is actually a platform. It's like a wiki, you know, like a Wikipedia. But this is where people who wants to become entrepreneur can go there and learn from others in that. And then also information about how to get a company going. But at the same time, it is also a place where, you know, what we are trying to do to have the big companies, for example, Jamu, right? Where like Jamu company, let's say, I want a ginger. I need ginger, I need these ingredients. And so Now the big company can have all these things that it requires. And with this, that we want SMEs for all to be able to supply that. That's one, Wiki Wirausaha. Number two, what we are trying to do is we call the Indonesia Trading House. This is what we are trying to do with creating trading houses overseas and also creating what we call Gudang Indonesia or Indonesia Warehouse. Because, you know, you talk about large corporation, it's easier for them to get a warehouse in any countries. But for the SME, how? We need to push this export and be able to be the channel of that. And so this is one thing that we are trying to do. And of course, we're also doing, let's say, for the other SME, we call it the closed loop system. This means what? When we are helping, for example, farmers, we have to create this closed loop system so that the farmers is able to give the best seed to how to be able to actually plan it very well and how to make sure at the end there is somebody who's buying the product, which is the offtakes. And so we have to create this, what we call the closed loop systems, or in Bahasa we call it pendampingan UMKM melekat, so that we can actually help the so-called farmers and others in this micro, small, medium enterprises to be able to have these offtakes, so they can have these loop systems, and the large corporation can help. And this is where the value of Indonesia, gotong royong, to actually work together to have this. If we can do this in 1998, when everybody was collapsing, all the conglomerate was collapsing, so what happened? SMEs went up and become the strength. And Indonesia needs that again. And I do believe, if we all work together, making sure that we can have this economy going domestically, we will be very strong. And we can actually get out from this recession. That's what I think.
Itulah kekuatan masyarakat Indonesia ya, gotong royong gitu. Nah sekarang kita akan memasuki sesi Q&A, jadi teman-teman yang ingin bertanya boleh langsung datang ke depan, ada 2 mikrofon di sini. Kita sediakan mungkin ada 3 pertanyaan, teman-teman yang ingin bertanya boleh langsung berjalan ke depan. Mikrofonnya ada di sini, boleh langsung jalan ke depan. Belum ada, kalau gitu sambil menunggu, aku ada 1 pertanyaan. For Junet. Do you have, before that, the technology that you showed us, the YSL, the water savings, it seems so very sophisticated in the future. How do you develop an innovative mindset within your organization? I know you have thousands of team members inside L'Oreal Indonesia. How do you develop their innovative mindset?
Okay, so first I'm going to build a bit about what's next in terms of innovation or what is the future of beauty. The reality is what all the things that we're talking about, if we're living in a very augmented world, it's almost a mixed reality. There was a time of Web 1.0, which was all about information. Information is king. The Yahoos and the Googles is when it came by. Web 2.0 was all about of people and things and sharing. And we're actually in Web 3.0, which is about Internet of Ownership, Internet of Things, where extended reality, alternate realities, virtual realities are a thing. So when you ask the question, what keeps us ticking, it's really the vision that we have is to, invent the future of beauty. We want to be the company of the future. One of the key things that we're looking at is having a culture of O+O, which is always the case, online, offline, but guess what? There's another O, which is on-chain. And metaverse, which is a concept which is well known now, it's the future for us. It is very recently L'Oreal has put in trademarks for 17 different trademark applications globally for NFTs or storefronts or even avatars. So this is coming and this is happening and it's already there, and so much so that very recently I think there was a crypto fashion week, a fashion week that happened on the metaverse, and then L'Oreal also featured its NFT with NYX professional makeup in it. I think you'll probably be able to see on the screen, or there it is. Also with L'Oreal Paris, and Samira spoke about women empowerment and women inclusivity, and for us at L'Oreal Paris, it's a huge topic and something that's personally very dear to me. My wife is actually a D&I expert, so our dinner table conversations are about women empowerment and diversity every day. So, and that's what Loyal Paris is also doing, even with NFTs and digital art. So this is happening, and also we're anticipating a lot of changes in the gaming industry. The gaming industry. So I'm sure you know this. I'm just 30 days old in Indonesia, but Indonesia is the #1 ASEAN country when it comes to games.
Mobile games especially.
Especially mobile games. So with Maybelline, we've already partnered with Free Fire, and we have a dedicated range that is being launched. 45% of gamers are women. So in order to deal with this sort of transformation, it's more about being a nimble and a creative company of how do you set up the tools, the systems, the processes, and the sort of ecosystem that enables this. And I think these are some of the things that are really helping us.
Wow, let's give a big round of applause for that. I can keep on going for 2 hours, but I know it's time for Friday prayer. So I want a short answer, starting from Samira first. What is your message to all of the millennials and Gen Z leaders who are currently attending the summit and watching this content?
Okay, my message is simple. When we're young, we feel like we know everything, but as we age, we realize we don't know anything at all. So always lead your life with curiosity and passion to learn all of the things in life, not just in your career, but everything outside of the office, because life is dynamic, and always have a thirst for that.
Curiosity and passion. Pak Arsyad?
For me is this, never stop learning. I think that is one thing. You have to keep, even at my age, I am still learning. And we learn from each other. And in bahasa sekolah, jangan malu bertanya. Don't be shy to ask. And that I think is very key important and to make your life successful.
Never stop learning. Jeanette?
Okay, so I can definitely not say that, but I fully agree that learning for sure is a key. But I think, first of all, as Indonesians, and I want to start including myself here, I think the Indonesian pride is extremely important. I think I've heard a lot about the new Indonesia. For me, this is the Indonesia that is going to take us forward. So a sense of pride, because see, you never can always be sure of what you're doing or whether you know everything. Be confident in who you are, be sure of your vision and ambition, and commit to it. I think that is the most important thing. The other thing is, don't be afraid to fail. Take risks. The opposite of not achieving something is not failure, it is not doing anything at all. And I think today, the resources the Gen Zs have is by far more than any other resources that everybody had in the past. I mean, the access to information. But with resources, a very important aspect is resourcefulness, to make sure you know how to wield all of those things to your favor and make things happen for you.
Resourcefulness, keren sekali jawabannya. Mari kita beri tepuk tangan untuk ketiga narasumber kita yang sangat keren sekali.